The fuel systems of aircraft certified in the standard classification must include which of the following? A positive means of shutting off the fuel to all engines. The Federal Aviation Regulation requires the fuel flow rate for gravity systems, main and reserve, to be 150% of the takeoff fuel consumption of the engine. On small aircraft engines, fuel vaporization may be increased by calculating the fuel and air mixture through passages in the oil sump. Fuel boost pumps are operated to provide a positive flow of fuel to the engine. Fuel pressure produced by engine-driven fuel pump is adjusted by the relief valve adjusting screw. Boost pumps in a fuel system provide a positive flow of fuel to the engine pump. What is the purpose of the fuel transfer injectors? To assist in the transfer of fuel from the main tank to the boost pump sump. When an electric primer is used, fuel pressure is built up by the boost pump. Which of the following statements concerning a centrifugal-type fuel boost pump located in a fuel supply tank is
not true?
The centrifugal-type pump is classified as a positive displacement pump.
Not true.
What is a characteristic of a centrifugal-type fuel boost pump? It separates air and vapor from the fuel. Most large aircraft reciprocating engines are equipped with which of the following types of engine-driven fuel pumps? Rotary vane-type fuel pump. Which type of pump is commonly used as a fuel pump on your reciprocating engines? Vane. The purpose of the diaphragm in most vane-type fuel pumps is to compensate fuel pressure to altitude changes. A rotary vane pump is best described as a positive displacement pump. A fuel pressure relief valve is required on engine-driven vane-type fuel pumps. During what period does the fuel pump bypass valve open and remain open? When the boost pump pressure is greater than fuel pump pressure. What is the purpose of an engine-driven fuel pump bypass valve? To prevent a damaged or inoperative pump from blocking the fuel flow of another pump in series with it. The fuel pump relief valve directs excess fuel to the inlet of the fuel pump. A pilot reports that the fuel pressure fluctuates and exceeds the upper limits whenever the throttle is advanced. The most likely cause of the trouble is a sticking fuel pump relief valve. Fuel pump relief valves, designated to compensate for atmospheric pressure variations, are known as balance-type relief valves. A fuel pressure relief valve is required on engine-driven vane-type fuel pumps. Fuel pressure produced by the engine-driven fuel pump is adjusted by the relief valve adjusting screw. Where is the engine fuel shutoff valve usually located? Aft of the firewall. The primary conditions that allow microorganisms to grow in the fuel in aircraft fuel tanks is the presence of water. Where is the main fuel strainer located in the aircraft fuel system? At the lowest point in the fuel system. A fuel strainer or filter must be located between the tank outlet and the fuel metering device. Which of the following turbine fuel filters has the greatest filtering action of any present-day filter type? Micron filter. Fuel crossfeed systems are usually in aircraft to maintain aircraft stability. It is desirable that fuel lines have a gentle slope upward or downward and not have sharp curves or sharp rises and or falls in order to prevent vapor lock. Where physical separation of the fuel lines from electrical wiring or conduit is impractical, locate the fuel lines below the wiring and clamp the line securely to the airframe structure. Fuel lines are kept away from sources of heat, and sharp bends and steep rises are avoided to reduce the possibility of vapor lock. A Rotax 582 is a liquid-cooled engine. How are the vapors carried back to the radiator or overflow tank? Hoses and lines. Kerosene is used as turbine engine fuel because kerosene has more heat energy per gallon and lubricates fuel system components. What are the principal advantages of the duplex fuel nozzle used in many turbine engines? Provides better atomization and uniform flow pattern. It is necessary to control acceleration and deceleration rates in turbine engines in order to prevent blowout or die out. Which of the following turbine fuel filters has the greatest filtering action of any present-day filter type? Micron filter. What is the purpose of the flow divider in a turbine engine duplex fuel nozzle? Creates the primary and secondary fuel supplies. What causes the fuel divider valve to open in a turbine engine duplex fuel nozzle? Fuel pressure. How are combustion liner walls cooled in a gas turbine engine? By secondary air flowing through the combustion chamber. Which of the following indicates that a combustion chamber of a jet engine is not operating properly? Hot spots on the tail cone. The components in a turbine engine that operate at the highest temperature are the first stage turbine nozzle guide vanes. The hot section of a turbine engine is periodically susceptible to which of the following kind of damage? Cracking. Which statement is true regarding the air passing through the combustion section of a jet engine? Most is used for engine cooling. What is the function of a blast tube as found on aircraft engines? A device to cool an engine accessory. The purpose of an intercooler when used with a turbocharger is to cool the air entering the carburetor from the turbocharger. Which of the following
Is not
an input parameter for a turbine engine fuel control unit? Ambient humidity. Bootstrapping of a turbocharged engine is indicated by a transient increase in engine power. What is the purpose of the density controller in a turbocharged system? Limits the maximum manifold pressure that can be produced by the turbocharger at full throttle. What is the purpose of the rate of change controller in a turbocharged system? Controls the rate at which the turbocharger discharge pressure will increase. What is the purpose of a turbocharger system for a small reciprocating engine? Compresses air to maintain manifold pressure, constant from sea level to the critical altitude of the engine. What are the three basic regulating components of a sea-level boosted turbocharger system? Exhaust bypass assembly, density controller, differential pressure controller. The differential pressure controller in a turbocharger system reduces bootstrapping during part throttle operations. The pressure between the turbocharger and the throttle valve is called upper deck pressure. Which of the following is a function of the differential pressure controller? It controls all positions of the wastegate except at fully open position. What fluid is used to move bleed band actuators? Engine oil. The purpose of a sonic venturi on a turbocharged engine is to limit the amount of air that can flow from the turbocharger into the cabin for pressurization. A Rotax 914 engine is a dry sump system. How is the oil returned to the external tank? Blow-by gases. On a Rotax 914 engine, the turbo control unit, TCU, transmits a signal to an external red boost lamp and an orange caution lamp. What is the maximum time the red lamp should be illuminated before taking action? With full throttle operation for longer than 5 minutes. The fifth trigger coil in the dual ignition circuit of a Rotax 914 engine is used to provide the revolution counter signal. Compared to normally aspirated engines, turbocharged engine exhaust systems operate at higher temperatures and higher pressures. If the turbocharger wastegate is completely closed, all the exhaust gases are directed through the turbine. What directly regulates the speed of a turbocharger? Wastegate. Which of the following is a function of the differential pressure controller? It controls all positions of the wastegate except at fully open position. Which of the following statements regarding volumetric efficiency of an engine is true? It is possible to exceed 100% volumetric efficiency of some engines by the use of superchargers of the proper type. Boost manifold pressure is generally considered to be any manifold pressure above 30 Hg atmospheric pressure. What is used to drive a supercharger? Gear train from the crankshaft.